Hello, I'm going to read a story about Eric. He's a baboon who lives in Cape Town in South Africa, which is where I used to live as well. So there he is with his cake, and he's sitting on the beach, and there's Table Mountain behind him, and these flowers are called proteas, which are the national flower of South Africa. Okay, let's read it. Eric, and it's a piece of cake. This tale's about Eric. He's baboon number one. He's the alpha male and he's lots of fun. He's bigger than you and stronger than me. He lives in the mountains next to the sea. There he is, living in the mountains of Cape Town by the sea. Eric has charm, he has wit, he has style. If he barks at you, you're in his half a mile. He is top of the pops in his family tree, and he likes to eat cake while drinking his tea. Yeah, there he is, eating his cake, drinking his tea, and there he is in his family tree with all his family, and he's at the top. Now, Vernon runs a coffee shop, and he likes to bake. It's said that he makes a great carrot cake. Eric agrees, and from time to time he nicks one whilst cooling. To him it's sublime. Eric sniffs the air and says, I say, it smells to me like a carrot cake day. He sneaks in and steals it, and Vernon chases after, but Eric runs off howling with laughter. Now Vernon's good-natured, and Vernon is kind. It was a bit of a hassle, but he didn't mind, because baboons are quite special. And it's dreadful to think in a couple of years they could be extinct. That means there's no more of them left. That would be terrible, wouldn't it? There's Vernon's coffee shop. And there is that naughty Eric with the cake that he's stolen, the carrot cake. Yum, yum. The wind was gentle and the sun was ablaze. It was one of those hot African days. As the heat rises wherever you gaze, the view in the distance is just a haze. The sun baked down on a piece of glass. It got scorching hot and lit the grass. If the wind picked up and the smoke turned to flame, oh, the things it did damage and the creatures it had maim. And sure enough, it did just that. The fire crackled and burned and sparked and spat. It turned the land from green to black. It advanced with speed like a vicious attack. Oh, look at that terrible fire. And there's some animals getting, well, they're so afraid they're going to run away from the fire. Eric the baboon was out on a raid. He was helping himself. He never paid. He sniffed the air and said, I smell smoke. He was very observant. He was that sort of bloke. He spun around. His eyes started to water. I'd better get back to my sons and my daughter. I'd better get moving. It's a bit of a climb. I've got quite far to go, and there's not much time. As he drew near, the smoke got too much. The rocks got too hot. They were too hot to touch. He tried to go on, but burnt his paw badly. He had to turn round. He turned away sadly. Where were his friends, his family, his troop? He hoped they were safe by the sea in a group. He limped down the mountain away from the fire. His foot was so sore, things were quite dire. He cried and he cried, for his foot hurt like mad. He felt terribly lonely and terribly sad. Oh, look, there he is. Poor Eric. That's where he burns his foot. Shame. The fire raged on, and the firemen came in big trucks with long hoses to put out the flames. They fought it on foot, by truck and by air, all day and all night. It caused quite a scare. See, there's the fire engine, and there's the helicopter. The helicopter's dropping water onto the fire. At last it was over, but the damage was done. Eric was tired. He'd been kept on the run. Eric laid down and gave a big sigh. He stuck out his paw when a hiker walked by. Good grief, you poor thing, the hiker exclaimed. Your paw is all burnt, you're hurt, you're maimed. He got out his cell phone and dialed 911. It's Eric, he's hurt, you have to come. There's poor Eric, waiting when the hiker comes by. He shows him his paw, and the hiker calls for help. There's the zebra, and there's the buck. The vet came and darted the great big baboon and carted him back to his veterinary room. The vet fixed him up and bound up his paw. It felt a lot better. It wasn't so sore. But he was stuck in a cage, not roaming free. How he missed all his mates and his big family. Now, Eric felt blue. He felt totally beat. He was down in the dumps. He just couldn't eat. When Vernon got wind of his sorry state, he headed straight for the kitchen and whipped up a cake. It cooled and he iced it, then hopped in his car. He zoomed to the vet. It wasn't that far. He ran to the cage where Eric moped. He popped in the cake and sat down and hoped. There is Vernon making the cake. And there is poor Eric in his cage. But there is got the cake, and the cake says, "Get well." So let's see if he smells it and gets up. Sure he will. Well, Eric sat still. He sniffed, and by gum, a whole cake for him. He'd just have to have some. Just a tiny wee piece. But it tasted so great. He scoffed a lot at an incredible rate. He beat on his chest and said, "You let me out. I can't be in here lolling about." At the end of the day, as the sun set, they headed back to the mountain, Eric and the vet. The vet let him out. He was wild. He was free. He headed straight for the cliffs and for his family. So happy to get out and eat this cake. And there he goes off to get his family. And there's that ladybug. The ladybug seems to always be there, doesn't it? They couldn't believe it. Were they seeing a ghost? They thought he was history. They thought he was toast. They were so pleased to see him, they let out a great whoop. He was back with his friends. He was home with his troop. Oh, there they are. Look, all the animals on the mountain, even the zebra, all of his family, so happy. But that is not all. That is not where it ends. Eric's still up to mischief with all his friends. A little while back, they were cruising the streets. They were out on a mission. They were looking for treats. They spotted the cupcakes on the school windowsill. They were in like a flash to get their fill. They didn't take one. They nicked the whole tray. Were they having a party? Was it Eric's birthday? There they go. Look at that. Taking all the treats. Having like a birthday party, but was it his birthday? No, they were just so happy. And there's the beaches in Cape Town where everybody was so happy. And that's the end.